All right, let's dive right into something that is absolutely critical if you're in the Microsoft security world. We're talking about Microsoft Sentinel's big, mandatory move over to the Defender portal. We're going to cover the deadlines you just can't ignore, why this is actually a huge win, and the best practices you need to start using like yesterday.
So let me just start by asking you a really direct question. Is your Sentinel setup ready for 2027? And I know that sounds far away, but it's not. The wheels are already in motion, and that final deadline is sneaking up on us fast. The whole point of this explainer is to make sure your answer to that question is a confident, oh yeah, we're ready.
And here's why you can't put this on the back burner. Look at this timeline. Kicking off in July 2025, that's really soon. All new customers are going straight to the Defender portal. A year later, July 2026, anyone still hanging out in the Azure portal is getting redirected automatically. But the big one, the hard stop, is March 31st, 2027. After that date, poof, the Azure portal for Sentinel is gone. The clock is definitely ticking.
So let's really get into the nitty-gritty of Sentinel's big move. And I want to be clear, this is not just a fresh coat of paint or a minor UI tweak. We're talking about a fundamental shift in how security operations work inside the Microsoft ecosystem. Understanding this isn't optional, it's mandatory. Just to be crystal clear, after that March 2027 date, Microsoft Sentinel will only live in the Microsoft Defender portal. There's no plan B, no way around it. This is the new world, and the goal here is to get everyone moved over smoothly and to really understand the awesome benefits you're getting.
So, you're probably asking, okay, but why? Why is this happening? And it's a great question. This isn't just change for the sake of change. It's a really strategic move toward a way more powerful and efficient way of doing security. Let's dig into this unified platform advantage and what it actually means for your SOC on a day-to-day basis.
You know, this slide really spells it out perfectly. Think about the old way in the Azure portal. Your security services were kind of in their own little silos. You had separate queues for incidents, your SIEM and your XDR. They didn't really talk to each other. The new way in the Defender portal, it just blows all that up. We're talking one unified platform for XDR and SIEM, a single place to manage all incidents, and a completely seamless integration with the whole Defender family.
And bringing everything together like this has some massive perks. You get one single platform for everything, which means your analysts aren't constantly jumping between different screens. They get to run one query that hunts across all your data, from your servers to your endpoints. And of course, that tighter integration just makes everything simpler and ultimately helps you get your costs under control. It's a win-win.
So before we jump into the best practices, let's do a super quick refresher on Sentinel's core powers, because all of these are getting a major upgrade now that they're being brought under one roof in this unified platform.
First up, data collection. The foundation is still the same, right? Pulling in data from literally everywhere. But now in the Defender portal, all that CM data from your servers and firewalls sits right next to your XDR data from endpoints. Correlating the two is now instant.
Next, threat detection. Sentinel's amazing AI isn't just looking at logs anymore. Now it can natively connect the dots between a SIEM alert and a Defender XDR incident, giving you this incredibly rich picture of an attack, all from one screen. And then comes threat investigation. All the tools you know and love are still there, but imagine being able to pivot from a log query straight to an endpoint's detailed process timeline in Defender, all without leaving the interface. It's a huge time saver.
And finally, threat response. Your automated playbooks just got way more powerful. They can now trigger actions across the entire Defender suite. So you could have a single playbook that isolates a machine with Defender for Endpoint and, at the same time, disables the user in Entra ID. So cool.
Okay, enough about the power. Let's get practical. How do you actually master your day-to-day operations in this new portal? Well, you need a playbook.
Here's the simple but super effective 5-step process. First, you review the incident. Then, you use the attack graph to map it all out. Step 3, you validate and triage. Is this a real threat or just noise? From there, you go deep, visualizing the data and hunting for anything related. And finally, you eradicate the threat and monitor to make sure it doesn't come back.
So when you get to that really crucial step, visualize and hunt, what are the best tools you have at your fingertips in the new Defender portal? Let's take a look.
Your toolkit is seriously stacked. You've got workbooks for creating these awesome interactive dashboards. You've got UEBA, which is perfect for spotting when a user or a host is acting weird.
Watchlists are fantastic for bringing in outside data like a list of malicious IPs, and the incident graph, oh, this is the star of the show. It just beautifully lays out the entire attack story for you.
Mastering the tools is one thing, but a great SOC is always getting better, right? So let's talk about optimization. How do you make your Sentinel setup smarter, faster, and more cost-effective as time goes on?
Here are 3 pro tips for you. First, don't just flip on every single data connector. Be strategic. Prioritize the ones that give you the most valuable logs. Second, filter your logs at the source, before they even get to Sentinel. This cuts down on noise and can save you a ton of money. And finally, spend some time optimizing your KQL queries. A clean, efficient query gets your analyst answers way faster.
So, if you only remember one thing from all this, let it be this quote. The whole point of this massive shift is to create a single platform that truly empowers security analysts. It's all about tearing down those old walls to make finding and stopping threats faster and more effective than ever.
And that really just leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Microsoft is unifying its security platform to build a stronger, more connected defense. So the real question you have to ask yourself is, are you unifying your security strategy to match? Are you thinking about how to really take advantage of all this integrated power? Because that, right there, is the key to winning.